Happy New Year! It's 2024, and boy oh boy, I've got some exciting updates this year. We have a lot of ground to cover today. We're going to start by talking about the future of this hobby as best we can, then we'll talk about the future of my videos, and then some personal announcements coming at the end, but I'm actually going to ask you not to skip ahead. There's a lot of important stuff to discuss today. First, let's talk a little bit about the state of the hobby. I'm not an expert or a prophet, this isn't going to be a prediction of 2024, but it is kind of important to talk about where tabletop gaming as a whole stands right now. In a lot of ways, 2023 was a transitional year for this hobby. Wizards of the Coast suffered from a few scandals, most noteworthy happening right at the top of the year with the OGL crisis. And as the year went on, everybody had to figure out how much they wanted to keep playing 5th edition. And honestly, even without the OGL scandal, this question was inevitable. 5th edition has been out for 9 years, and that's plenty of time for folks who have played it for a long time to start to experience friction with the parts they don't like and start to naturally reevaluate it. No game is perfect, and 5e is not the right game for every group or every campaign. Additionally, we've known since 2022 that Wizards of the Coast is working on another edition, or a half edition, or a rules refresh, or whatever it is. But whatever they call it, this is the time when people start asking if they're going to keep playing D&D or move on to something else. That's just a natural part of the process. Obviously, plenty of people play multiple games at once, that's totally normal, but not everybody has that much free time, and people also get pretty passionate about their hobbies, so there will always be people who feel like they have to pick a game. And when the conversation around a company is as charged as it has been around WotC, then it doesn't just feel like picking the game you like the most or that best serves your group. It feels like picking teams. Now again, there's always some of that, but things went pretty differently this time. Not to relitigate the OGL crisis, but it's relevant that the threat of a cancelled OGL would have really disrupted the creator community. I know Legal Eagle said it probably would have been okay, but I think he missed the fact that the OGL set a standard of using the exact same language as the official books, and so losing the assurance from the copyright holder that they wouldn't pursue legal action was actually a pretty big problem, especially for small creators. So even though WotC walked the situation back, a lot of publishers did not want to be in that precarious position again. So a bunch of them got to work on new systems. Kobold Press got to work on Tales of the Valiant, MCDM started their RPG, Critical Role started sharing details of Daggerheart, Dungeon Coach is working on his own game, and Paizo cut the last ties with D&D out of their Pathfinder books to make sure they're legally in the clear. It's a very strange and exciting time. But of course, none of those new games are done yet. And while plenty are available for playtest or in some form or another, we didn't actually have final versions of any of those games at any point during the year, except for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Though I think the modified version is still being rolled out, if I understand correctly. That's not to say that other cool games did not come out. Shadowdark and Candela Obscura were probably the most notable new releases of 2023. But everybody who was making 5e content and now wants to offer their version of the heroic fantasy RPG, we're still waiting on most of those. Now, I think 2024 is going to be a really fascinating year. I'm not interested in which of these games sells the best, although I'll be very curious about sales. Obviously, very curious if anybody gets close to WotC's share of the RPG pie. I think that's unlikely, but you never know. But I'm really excited to get into some of these games and start playing around with them. I'm also still enjoying 5e, and if I don't buy or enjoy the new D&D edition, then I'll still run some games in the version of 5e that I like, and play other games in other systems. I still want to run or play games in Fantasy Age, Shadowdark, Pathfinder 2nd Edition, Monster of the Week, the Marvel Multiverse RPG, and once I can play Daggerheart or the MCDM RPG, I really want to try those as well. And there may be others that come along that get some really good buzz and get added to that list, because there are a ton of cool games along the way. Of course, there's one big barrier to this, and that's time. I cannot promise that I'll get to any of these games this year. The ones I feel the most confident about are Pathfinder and Shadowdark. I'm actively developing short campaigns for both games, hoping to get those up and running by the end of January. I've got 2 Shadowdark videos planned for the next 2 months, and a bunch of Pathfinder videos I'd really like to get to this year. But beyond that, I don't want to overpromise anything, because as I learned from 2023, there's never enough time to get to all the videos I want to make every year. But before we move on, let's talk a little bit about what you can expect from me when it comes to 5e and the other material from Wizards of the Coast. Because WotC has had its share of scandals, both before and after the OGL crisis. And most recently, at this time of recording, Hasbro has announced they're laying off more than 1,000 employees, including a bunch of people who work at Wizards of the Coast. From what I can tell, WotC is the best performing branch of Hasbro, so they're basically being punished for still being profitable while toy sales are down. It's tragic that hundreds of people spent years working to get their dream job, working at the company that makes the game synonymous with our hobby, and now they're out of the job. Now, that is not really a WotC sin, it's Hasbro doing the laying off. And Hasbro is not remotely the only company out there that's been going through layoffs. Plenty of people I know in my real life are facing the chance of getting laid off. It is a very scary time for workers right now. Gentle reminder, Capitalism is still bad. But obviously, this is yet another moment where we have to reckon with our relationship with Wizards of the Coast and their corporate masters. Maybe this doesn't matter to you, but to touch on another debate from this year, as an influencer in this space, I do need to have a clear approach about how I plan to talk about WotC's D&D. Because to be honest, not that much has changed about my relationship with the game, but you should still know where I'm at. So here's my philosophy. First of all, the books I already own are fair game in my opinion. Same for you, for my 2 cents. As I make it clear anytime I talk about them, I'm not sponsored by WotC. At least I haven't been so far. I'll definitely let you know if that changes. But I'm making videos to try to help you run the best games you can. I still like 5e as a game, and it's still an extremely useful shorthand, especially because it's almost 10 years old and so many of us have played it. I'm still going to play 5e at my tables, among other games. Now, I have 2 video series, my Many Ways to Build a Character and World Breaking series, where I talk about different aspects of 5e. I'm going to prioritize those series over the next couple of months to get through the Player's Handbook topics I haven't covered yet, specifically feats and multi-classing. That was always the plan anyway, because I really need to get these out of the way before the new edition drops, before the books that I'm using as examples become obsolete. After that, I will probably keep using D&D Beyond for future character building streams, since I still use D&D Beyond for my paid D&D games, and for a lot of my home games as well. I'll also make some characters using other character builders when I'm not using 5e, and I do have a few of those videos planned for this year, so those should be really fun as well. As for buying more books, I currently don't have any plans to buy those from Wizards of the Coast's website or through Amazon. If I want to get my hands on another WotC book for the channel or for my home game, I would love to get those from a friendly local game store. In fact, my dream goal, and I do not know how practical this is, but what I would love to do is, anytime I buy a 5e book at a game store, I also want to spend the same amount of money on products from other publishers. That would take more time to save up money every time I want to buy a book, but that's okay because I don't tend to need to get new D&D books that often. Now, I do not know if that's in the cards. It depends on my finances and my shelf space, both of which are getting kind of tight. But if I wind up getting any books digitally on D&D Beyond, then I will definitely spend the same amount digitally on other TTRPG publishers. This is not about me punishing Wizards of the Coast or issuing a boycott or anything like that. But my feeling is, if I am going to give money to the biggest gaming company in the hobby, I would like to also support smaller companies wherever possible. But also, this is just going to be my approach. It might not be right for you and where you're at with these games. I know some of you might even be looking to get rid of your 5e products. But that's simply not where I'm at right now. But what about the new edition? Well, before discussing when I might buy it, which again, I would get those books from a local game store when the time comes. But actually, it's worth pointing out that I honestly have not been sold on this new edition yet. Like, I'm sure the art will be incredible, and I am really curious to see what they put in the new Dungeon Master's Guide, but as far as the monsters and the races and the classes, well, since I still don't understand the design goal, I'm not champing at the bit to buy it yet. Some sections of the playtest seem like they're just polishing what was already there and basically adding errata, but others are much more radical changes, and I don't really know what they're going for overall. I'll probably check it out at some point. Even if everybody else says that it's bad, 4th edition taught me that the community consensus does not necessarily line up with my own experience. But if you've been following my channel, you know that I do not tend to feel any rush to review products quickly, and for reasons we'll discuss soon, that is really not likely to change in 2024. Plus, to pull the curtain back, when I review a specific book, that video doesn't tend to do very well, though that might not be true for something as big as a new D&D edition. But either way, until I actually play the new game, it would be hard to review the new edition. Besides the Dungeon Master's Guide, which sounds like it will have practical advice for new DMs, and that would be awesome. But I don't know, I probably will talk about the new edition at some point after it comes out, ideally once I've actually had a chance to play it, but it's not my highest priority. And that's especially true given the adjustments I have to make to my upload schedule in 2024. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about my plan for my videos this year. First, as I look back on my videos from 2023, I am so proud of what I've been able to do with this channel. I made 100 videos last year, and I do not think there's a bad one in the bunch. That being said, there is always more I want to do with my channel, always more videos I have ideas for. Last year, I was so focused on the next videos, so focused on hitting all my deadlines, that a lot of my other goals slipped away. Even more ambitious videos like reviews of some D&D books I own or videos about stealing ideas from movies, those had to go on the back burner because the schedule was so intense. I also didn't work on those movie videos because of the SAG and WGA strikes. And now that those are finally over, I can revisit some ideas for videos based on movies and TV shows, but those do still take a lot of time. I launched a video series last year about reviewing campaign settings, but I only had the time to do 2 installments because those videos take a lot of time. And even just the standard everyday videos I made got more and more elaborate. At the end of 2022, I finally found a format that I'm happy with, where I'm off to the side and pictures appear over my shoulder in a standard format, but that takes a lot more time than the old videos. It's not a huge issue, and I'm too happy with this format to ever go back, but you know, It's a factor. Additionally, the videos themselves just got longer. Of all 100 videos, less than a dozen of them were less than 15 minutes long, which is a huge change from 2022. Now that's fine, video scripts are as long as they need to be, and longer videos allow me to expand on topics so you get the best possible videos out of them. But obviously, longer videos take more time to write and edit. And doing 2 videos every week meant I wasn't able to spend much time this year working on shorts or fulfilling Patreon rewards, doing Twitch live streams, or even just doing some of the other larger videos that I have in mind. So let's talk about my upload schedule. For the past 21 months that my channel has existed, my goal has been 2 videos a week, one on Monday and one on Thursday. The reason for this is because I want to take my Critical Role Demystified series weekly. That is a goal that I will unlock at 1,000 paid Patreon members. But I don't only want to make Critical Role videos, so 2 videos a week is the goal. That way, every week there's a Critical Role video and another different video. But in the short term, I think I need to scale back to just 1 video a week. Now with this new schedule, you'll still get a new Demystified every other week, there just won't be videos on Mondays anymore. Now I have absolutely no idea what this is going to do to my algorithm. Maybe it'll help because more people will be better able to keep up with my releases and will watch more of my videos, or maybe it'll hurt because my watch time will go down. I truly have no idea. This also means losing out on 4 sponsored videos every month, and that is going to be really tough. So I don't know how long I'm going to be able to stick to this limited schedule. But even if I only do it for a few months, that'll hopefully give me a chance to build up a buffer. So I can have some months with only weekly videos, maybe some other months with some bonus videos. But I'll still also be able to do other things like Patreon rewards and live streams. I already plan to pepper in at least 1 bonus video for February because I want to experiment with the schedule. In fact, if you're a Patreon member at the Fabricate tier, there's a poll on the Patreon right now where you can vote on a bonus video for February. And along those same lines, I've also just launched YouTube memberships with a lot of the same perks as the Patreon. So if you want to become a channel member through YouTube, then once again, if all has gone according to plan, as I sure hope it has, there should be a poll for folks who want to support me at the Fabricate tier. And keep an eye out for more polls as I potentially add more videos to the schedule in future months. Now this new schedule will hopefully give me time to focus on other things. For example, I've got a Patreon goal where I make D&D content like a magic item or a monster or whatever, and I share that with my patrons. And I haven't done that at all since January. Now part of that was the OGL issue bumming me out, and part was not really being sure whether people wanted 5e content or wanted me to make stuff for other games instead. And that is still a question I'll have to figure out and answer for at some point. Maybe down the road I'll make more content for Pathfinder or Shadowdark or Daggerheart or the MCDM RPG. But for right now, I just need to get back to fulfilling that Patreon promise. So Patreons members and YouTube members who support me at the Detect Magic tier and above, right now there's actually a PDF that was commissioned by a patron months ago, and I've just failed to deliver on it. So check out my document with multiple cursed magic items. The patron just asked for a single cursed item, something a bit more interesting than you just can't put it down, but I felt so bad for making them wait for so long, so I made 5 cursed items. And come back in February for another commission. A patron asked me to create something psionic. Once again, I have a really cool idea for what that'll be, so you should get to see that on February 1st. I also might upload some YouTube shorts more often. Probably not in January, but soon. I've got some ideas, and while I'm not holding myself to the goal of uploading every Monday when I don't have a full video, I think it would be fun to at least post some shorts during this experimental phase. And as far as my YouTube videos go themselves, I want to do more product reviews, including more campaign setting reviews. Those still take time, and I don't want to overwhelm myself, but again, hopefully freeing up my schedule a bit will mean that I can spend more time working on more complicated videos. That's one reason why the video series went onto the back burner, the other being the SAG and WGA strikes. So again, with all that in mind, hopefully more villain videos coming this year. On a related note, last year a patron commissioned a video about lessons we can learn from film noir for our games, and I would love to watch a bunch of film noir videos, movies, and deliver that video this year. I'm also very optimistic about more collaborations. I communicated with a lot of fellow YouTubers this past year. We bounced a lot of ideas around, but we're all busy people with other obligations, and I had a pretty grueling production schedule, so it's sometimes hard to get these projects completed. But it does look like you're going to see more collabs this year. I've got some really cool ones in the works with some really cool people. I also completely failed to keep up with Dungeon 23, so I'm going to try again this year. I'm going to try adding a room to a mega dungeon every day. We'll see what happens there, but if all goes well, you might see some videos about that. I also hope to make more vlogs on my downtime channel. Not weekly or anything like that, but I do still want to make some videos. I keep starting vlogs and then failing to finish them, so hopefully you'll see some completed vlogs pop up there more often. Okay, you've been really patient, so now it's time for the main event. I have 2 really big announcements, which are also contributing factors to why I'm trying to scale back on the number of videos per week. The first, which is really exciting, I got a new day job. I'm working as an office manager at a green technology company. I wasn't even looking, but they reached out to me with the opportunity, and I really could not pass up the chance to help with a company that is working to do some tangible good in the world. Plus, I like having a commute because it means I get to catch up on podcasts, because that's how my brain works. Those are my priorities. Now, this is a startup, so there's always a chance this job will go away, possibly with very little notice, but it is nice to have something stable going on. Plus, we had unlocked a bunch of Patreon goals that I wasn't able to execute because all that money had to go into the mortgage. But now that the Patreon is not completely filling in for a day job, I can actually take time off from that job as needed if I don't have vacation time or sick time accrued yet. And that was extremely helpful when I got COVID after my honeymoon. And I really want to thank everyone for their support this year. I lost my job right at the beginning of the year and tried my best to make YouTube my full-time job. And when it was tough to actually make that my full income, I got really close to making that an achievable goal. And we're at the level on the Patreon where I can actually afford to take a few days off every month or so to work on my videos. And maybe down the line, who knows, maybe someday this income will be stable enough that it really can support me long term without the need for a day job. We got kind of close, and I think if I'd been able to keep up with my Patreon promises, that might have actually been in the cards. And the fact that it was even close to possible for these past few months is purely because of your support. So once again, thank you. Seriously, thank you so much. I also know that not everybody could support me on Patreon or could support me for very long, and that is completely fair. I mean, this year basically started with me losing my job, so I get it. I know there are a lot of people out there who are also experiencing some lean times. So the fact that I could make videos about games for most of the year and that was my job, that's incredible. But the timing for getting this job could also not have been more perfect. Because less than 2 weeks after I started the job, as some of you already know from social media, we got another piece of really exciting news. We're going to be parents. This is part of why I've been so careful not to overpromise anything in my plans for 2024. It's why I can't commit to how many games I'll play or how many videos I'll upload or, how many books I'll buy. Because sometime in late April or early May, I'm going to become a father. We're due on May 3rd, but I know that a due date is not like a sure thing, so we'll see what happens. I've got videos scheduled for the rest of January, including a new Critical Role Demystified episode coming this Thursday. But behind the camera, I'm going to be completely offline for the next 2 weeks. My wife and I are taking a baby moon because the fact that we found out that we were pregnant shortly before we finally took our honeymoon, that does not mean that the mother of my child gets cheated out of another trip. I was not going to let our long-delayed honeymoon also be our baby moon by default. That is not fair to her. So that's what I've got going on. This is going to be a very interesting year. I truly do not know what to expect. In a bunch of ways, I guess that's true. But if you feel like supporting the channel, I would really appreciate it. If you're able to help financially, you can join my Patreon. As I've said, more rewards coming there soon, including a live stream that I'll schedule once I'm back in town, but we'll definitely do a January live stream. But any financial support would be wonderful. The money from the new job is going to get siphoned into another resource right now. So any additional financial help would be amazing. I also want to thank the viewer Will B for sending these from my wish list. Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to these. And Will, I remember you from the old Friday Night Quests days, which was our old actual play podcast way back in the day. I remember you being a fan of that, and I really appreciate that you've stuck around. Thank you so much. If you can't contribute financially, that's absolutely fine. One of the best ways to help is actually completely free. Just like and subscribe and ring the bell. I know it's cliche, but it truly makes a big difference with the algorithm, and I need all the algorithm help I can get this year. Join my Discord server to hang out with other awesome people, and follow me on Twitch. Again, I'm going to try to do a lot of live stream this year while I still have the time. And sign up for my newsletter because there is going to be a lot of news this year. I have no doubt of that. Click here for a video of my favorite comments from 2023 because truly, I have an amazing community and I want you to know that I do not take you for granted in any way. Until next time, play fair and have fun.